Welcome, my dear students of Al Wakra Secondary School for Boys. Our lesson today is about persuasion and persuasive techniques. So what is persuasion? As you can see, persuasion, a means of convincing or persuading others. Why do we need to persuade others or to convince people? We need to convince people for many reasons. First, to buy a certain product, as we can see in advertisements, or to believe something or act in a certain way, or to agree with a point of view, mostly the writer's point of view or our point of view if we are the writers. Let's look at some techniques that can help you make your writing more persuasive, or in other words, some persuasive techniques. The first persuasive technique is repetition. The word repetition comes from the verb to repeat. As you can see, the photo is repeated and so is the word. Repetition can create great emphasis on a topic or a meaning. This is an advertisement, and as you can see, the word apples here, and it's repeated all over the advertisement. The photo of the apples and of the boy eating apples. This is also a way of persuasion in advertisement. Repetition is a powerful persuasive technique. This is an example of repetition. As you can see here, let's read the sentence. We must all try to write with purpose, write with feeling, and write using the techniques to persuade. The word write here is repeated 3 times. Why? It is repeated 3 times to give more emphasis. تأكيد. The second persuasive technique is rhetorical questions. A rhetorical question is very easy to detect because a question, whether rhetorical or not, is always followed by a question mark. What is a rhetorical question? A rhetorical question is a question which does not require an answer. You ask the question and you don't expect an answer. This type of question is so obvious, it does not need an answer, and it can help to reinforce a point. This is an example of a rhetorical question. Is it easy to quit smoking? If you find it in a reading text, the writer doesn't expect you to say yes or no. No, he doesn't expect that. He is giving you the question in order to attract your attention because he is going to provide the answer after that. Can we live without the rainforest? You are not expected to give an answer. You are expected to guess what's coming next when you are reading a persuasive text. Should we wait till Israel kills all Palestinians? Of course we shouldn't. So it's very obvious, it doesn't need an answer. The third persuasive technique is quotations, and it's also like questions. It's very easy to detect the quotations because they are always between parentheses or quotation marks. Sometimes we call quotations if they come from the opinion, they express the opinion of an expert. In the topic, we call it expert opinion. Using an expert or important person's opinion to make your argument seems more convincing. So why do we use the opinion of an expert, or why do we use quotations? To make the reader think that we are not alone. this idea expressed, I have others that agree with my point of view, or the writer's point of view. Let's look at this example here of quotation. This is a very famous scientist. His name is Albert Einstein. And this is a quotation. An intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex. It takes a touch of genius to make things easy and simple. So here he argues in favor of simplicity and facilitating topics, not complicating things. Persuasive technique number 4, statistics and facts. By statistics, what do you mean by statistics? Numbers, percentages. This is a percentage here. But statistics come in many forms. Let's look at the first one here, the first sentence. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend sugarless gum for their patients who chew gum. 4 out of 5. Let's count it or calculate it. 4 out of 5. That means 20% of dentists don't agree, so 80% agree. So it's another form of this form. It's another way to express a statistics, which is a percent. According to a recent study, 80% of high school students use mobiles more than 4 hours a day. 80%, it's very clear that this is statistics. Number 5, we have the emotive language. We use emotive language. Emotive comes from the word emotion. We use emotive language in order to help the writer stir up emotions in the readers, move their emotions, let them sympathize or feel sympathy towards a topic. Here, very emotive, this sentence you can find. The poor child stretched his hand to me asking for help. So the word poor, stretched his hand, this gives you the image which arouses or stirs up your emotion in order to sympathize with this poor child. Number 6, here we have exaggeration. Exaggeration represent مبالغة, to represent something in an excessive way. When you say, I could hear his cry of pain miles away, of course you cannot hear it miles away, but you are exaggerating to express how loud the cry was, to express the degree of pain he was suffering from. I could hear his cry of pain miles away. This is exaggeration. Number 7 is comparison. You compare things in order to make the idea clearer. Comparison allows the readers to understand and relate the issue to something that is familiar to them. You compare what is not familiar with the reader to something which is familiar to clarify the idea or the meaning. Travel by air is faster and more comfortable than other ways of travel. If the reader is not familiar with travel by air, but he is familiar with other ways of travel, this comparison makes the idea clearer. Now, let's come to the practice part. Is it easy to quit smoking? I don't think so. What kind of persuasive technique is that? Think. As you can see here, this is the question mark. So this is a rhetorical question. Right. Excellent. Why does the writer use a rhetorical question in this passage or in this text? In order to get the readers thinking and get them involved. So, if you are asked, what is the persuasive technique and why does the writer use it, we mention the persuasive technique here and then we mention why the writer is using it. So a rhetorical question is always used to get the readers thinking and get them involved in the topic. That's another example of persuasive technique. So what kind of persuasive technique? Great. Here you have the quotation marks, the parentheses. So this is quotation. Why does the writer use it? To make the essay more interesting to the reader. So the writer uses quotation to make the essay more interesting to the reader. 60% of drivers do not use mobile phones while driving. What persuasive technique is used here? Great. It's statistics, right? You are right. Statistics. Why does the writer use statistics here? To add strength and validity to the argument. To add strength and validity to the argument. Cars are responsible for more than 40%. As you can see, percent here comes in letters, not the symbol, but the letter is clear here, 40%. So this is also statistics. Great, to add strength and validity to the argument. That's why we are using statistics. That's another way of statistics. As you can see here, it all comes in letters. So if you are looking for numbers, clear numbers, written in numbers, you will not find them. So you have to read the lines and find statistics and numbers even if they are written in letters in this form. Bad roads are responsible for 20% of accidents. So statistics here again. Why? To add strength and validity to the argument. Good coffee is so rare, a farmer said. So what is the persuasive technique? Someone will say it's quotations, right? And other one will say it's expert's opinion. It's also right because the speaker, he is a farmer and he's speaking about something within his expertise. So that's both answers are acceptable. So quotations, why are we using quotations? To make the essay more interesting to the reader. Yes, exactly. Is global warming dangerous? It's actually more than that. So here a question, he is giving the question, asking the question and providing the answer to the question. So this is a, exactly, it's a rhetorical question. Great. Why do we use it? To get the readers thinking and get them involved. The report says the hospital is not responsible. Again, parentheses. So this is quotation. Great. Why do we use them? To make the essay more interesting to the reader. As Alan M. Edison says, modern technology owes ecology an apology. It's rhyming. But here I care for the quotation marks here. So it's quotation again. Yes, exactly. It's statistics and facts. We use statistics to add strength and validity to the argument. The little monkey was in critical condition and wouldn't have survived was it not for the work of the dedicated team of volunteers. As you can see here, we have no numbers, we have no quotation marks, but what do we have here? The monkey is described as little, and his condition is described as critical, and he was saved by the work of a dedicated team of volunteers. So the vocab here and the adjectives, yes, exactly, it stirs up our emotions, so that's what we call emotive language. Excellent, it's emotive language. Why do we use emotive language? To stir up emotions in the readers. Should we allow people to continue this practice? Whatever practice we're asking about, it's very clear that this is a rhetorical question. Today, smartphones are just as useful and functional as laptops 10 years ago. So what is the persuasive technique here? Let's look here. There is no emotive language, no statistics, no quotations also. We have no repetition. So I think the key, I'll give you a hint, it's here and here. Exactly, it's comparison. Great. He is comparing smartphones to laptops 10 years ago. So this is a comparison. And why do we use it? To allow the readers to understand and relate the issue to something that is familiar to them. I think you have to learn this by heart because it would be very useful during tests, because you wouldn't have to think about reasons, you just know them. If he is asking why, and at the end of this presentation video, I'm giving you the types of questions, I'm presenting them that can be asked about these persuasive techniques. These changes will make life better for the students, better for the teachers, and better for the headmaster. Yes, exactly. The word better here is repeated 3 times. Better, better, better for the headmaster, better for the teachers and the students. So it's repeated, so it's repetition. Excellent. Why do we use repetition? To make a key argument on theme stick into your reader's mind. The key argument stick into the reader's mind, he will not forget it, and the repetition is very useful in advertisements, as we mentioned earlier. He was so tired, he couldn't hold his eyelids up. You know the eyelids, when you, no one cannot hold his eyelids up. So, what do we call this? Is it emotive language? No, but this he couldn't hold his eyelids up makes it more exaggeration than emotive language. Exaggeration, مبالغة. We are exaggerating his feeling of tiredness in order to represent something in an excessive way. Persuasive techniques, different forms of the same question. Let's look at the questions. So when you got a reading text, you are asked this question: what persuasive technique did the writer use in the first paragraph? And you mentioned the persuasive technique. Very simple. This can come in the form of ABC, multiple choice, or just like that, and you write the persuasive technique. So you have to know the spelling of every persuasive technique, the letters. What persuasive technique did the writer use to convince the reader in paragraph 2? Now he is asking you about a persuasive technique mentioned in a second paragraph. Mention the technique used in paragraph 3 to persuade the readers. They all ask about persuasive techniques, but as you can see, the form of the question is different. Here, what persuasive technique? What persuasive technique? Mention the technique used to persuade. Which persuasive technique was used in paragraph 4 to convince the reader? And in this one, he is giving you multiple choice. What persuasive technique did the writer use in the last paragraph to make it more convincing? So these are the different forms of the persuasive techniques. Thank you. This is the end of our presentation, our video. I hope you make use of it. And till we meet in the next video, I want to thank you all. Thank you very much.